Catholic Catechism, in page 516, boy, this is the ultimate. It says the veneration of icons, that's idols now, that's graven images, were introduced by the Son of God himself. It says the Son of God introduced a new economy of images. That's double talk to say that you can worship images, graven images. And the Son of God himself introduced these. That's their claim. On page 517 of this New Catholic Catechism, they say the Christian veneration of images is not contrary to the first commandment. The first commandment says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. They say it's okay to worship images, to have statues of Joseph and Mary and to worship before them. Statues of St. Christopher, of St. Teresa, of St. Lucia, on and on and on. You can bow down and worship before these statues. And that is not contrary, they say, to the worship of God. But, oh, it is, my friends. On page 566, here's something you'll be astounded about. This Catholic Catechism teaches on page 566 that homosexuality is something you're born with. It says homosexual men and women do not choose their homosexual condition. They can't help it. They're born like that. Friends, this is not even good science. It goes on to say that these persons must be accepted with respect. I don't respect the grievous sin of homosexuality. No, I refuse. But they say we're to respect the homosexual. Unbelievable, my friends. And then finally, these are just a few things now. On pages 642 and 643, talks about that it is good to make supplication and praises to the mother of Jesus. Supplications. Pray to her. Ask her for things. This, my friends, is the new Catholic Catechism. This is what Catholics are taught in their version of Sunday school. What to believe. Now, friends, I don't care what Jack Van Impe says. I don't care what Paul Crouch, Billy Graham. Here's a picture of Billy Graham receiving his honorary doctorate from Belmont College, a Catholic school. When he was there, Billy Graham said, the gospel that they preach at this school is the same gospel I believe in. No, it's not the same gospel I believe in, and I have just proved it to you by reference to their own so-called tradition's holy book that they add to the Bible. Add to. Does not the Bible say in the Revelation that if you add or subtract anything at all, God will bring upon you all of the plagues of the book of Revelation? Now, let's look at some of other things about the Catholic Church I want you to understand. Here's a picture of the Pope. Isn't it interesting how he dresses up in this strange fish's hat that comes all the way from Dagon, the fish god worship way back in the time of the Philistines in the Old Testament? Isn't it interesting that he still shows Jesus still on the cross, still suffering, even though Jesus, my friends, is no longer on that cross? And take a look, my friends, at this strange symbol around the neck of the Pope. Made of gold. Is that not a dragon with fire coming out of its mouth? A golden dragon at the bottom? And is that not supposedly the Son of God coming out of the Sun God? This is the worship of the Sun God. This is the worship of the dragon. The book of Revelation calls Satan, that old serpent, the dragon. And the Pope has him around his very neck in this picture. One of the most shameful things about the Catholic Church, of course, has been the sexual fornication of their priest. Many of the priests and many of the nuns are lesbians and homosexuals. But even worse, the male priest, the homosexuals, are pedophiles. Did you know that many of the Catholics themselves are now admitting, I can show you books written by Catholic scholars, that say over 50%, some say 80% of all priests in America, all Catholic priests, up to 80% are homosexuals. This is incredible. This particular cardinal, Mr. Law of the Boston Diocese, was forced to leave his post, forced to resign, was recalled to Rome after so many hundreds of children were molested by priests in his diocese, and he covered it all up. And they continue to cover it up to this day. Here's an interesting article from down in Mexico. It talks about the police. On a certain day, they bring statues with them to work. It'll bring them good luck. It'll help them do their jobs better. Statues of saints. You don't believe they worship saints? Here they are carrying these statues around with them. But if you read this article closely, it says cops and robbers both turn to St. Jude. One of the policemen says, I have all sorts of friends who are criminals, and they pray to St. Jude. The drug addicts say when they pray to him, they always have plenty of drugs. And the robbers say they rarely get caught. Isn't that amazing? The robbers, the crooks, say that St. Jude helps them to be better criminals. Incredible. Here's a man named Dr. Peter Kreeft I'd like to introduce you to. He's well thought of in Catholic circles. He's a professor, high-level professor at Boston University. That's, by the way, where Senator John Kerry graduated from with his law degree. This is a Catholic Jesuit, the Order of the Jesuits, a secret order of the Catholic Church. That's what Boston University is. And Dr. Peter Kreeft is one of the professors of religion there. Now, Dr. Kreeft said some things recently in a book called Ecumenical Jihad. Ecumenical Jihad. I want you to know about. Let me give you some quotes. First of all, he says that Martin Luther, the founder of the Protestant movement, is a heretic. So we see right away what Peter Kreeft believes in. Second, he says, and listen to this, Confucius, Buddha, Muhammad are all in heaven. Muhammad is today on his knees in heaven worshiping Mary. Now, can you just picture that sight in your mind? Muhammad on his knees worshiping Mary in heaven? Confucius, Buddha, Muhammad, they're all in heaven. Of course, Martin Luther, I guess he's in hell. He's a heretic. But all of these false gods and prophets are in heaven, according to Peter Kreeft. And there they're worshiping Mary, like every good Catholic. Listen to what he says about Allah. Allah, writes Peter Kreeft, is not another God. We worship the same God. Why is Islam expanding so spectacularly, he asked? Because God blesses those who obey his laws. Friends, did you know that Jack Van Impe also said the same thing basically in a recent TV program? That he suggested that Islam, the Quran, is the Word of God. And finally, listen to what he says here. This is Dr. Peter Kreeft, one of their top theologians in the Catholic Church. It shows you what Catholics believe. He says, quote, Catholicism agrees with paganism more than with Protestantism. Friends, if you're a Catholic, you're closer to paganism and witchcraft than you are with Protestantism, evidently. Then he says Catholicism is more like African religion. Catholics believe pagans are right and Protestants are wrong. Well, let's take a look. I have some pictures here of African tribalism. You tell me whether you think that you prefer this African tribalism and this voodoo over Protestantism. And by the way, when we get to this last picture, it's a picture of two chickens with their heads cut off. Of course, in different religions, Santeria, voodoo, even the Rastafarian religions in some segments of it, and certainly in African tribal religion, they believe in animal sacrifice. And they will take the blood and do horrible